Hey, hey, what's going on out there, everybody? You are in the place to be, rolling with the D, coming to you on Wednesday. We're here, it's November 5th, it's 1:30 p.m. We're airing in the afternoon today, so if you're catching this on a re-roll or it's a pre-recording, just giving you a reference so you know when this was actually recorded. Excited to be here, excited to share some really cool information with you guys today, and excited to be doing this show. Just a little bit about this show. If this is your first time discovering Rolling with the D, this is a daily show that I put out with the idea behind it of tapping into the mindset, the inner entrepreneur that I believe exists in all of us. My background being a hairstylist and salon owner, one of the things I felt was missing in my industry was a voice for the tapping of the mindset, a voice tapping into that entrepreneurial spirit that I believe lives inside of everyone. It's not exclusive just to hairstylists. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to hack through that, and then this show was created. So we call it hacking the business of beauty or hacking the bob. So that's really what we're doing with this show. And each show we're bringing you just information on different topics, different things I think that can help you grow as a person, help strengthen your mindset, help give you different perspectives, maybe view something from a different angle. So these are the kinds of topics that I'll be covering as I go through the show each and every day with you. We've had some really cool episodes. They're all recorded. They're all archived. So if you missed something, you need to go back. You want to hear something, you want to go take some notes on something, you can do that by either looking on our YouTube channel where all of the videos are sent, or you could look on our Ustream.tv channel. If you're watching this is where we actually broadcast it from live when it has the original recording. So you can find it on there. Also, all of our links that we put out on social media, whether it be on Facebook or on Twitter. We have plenty of ways for you to find the show and for you to get plugged into what's going on. And hopefully you'll be able to share some of your own victories and some of your personal ahas or discoveries as you've been tuning into the show, and maybe put some of the ideas into practice. That's really what I'm hoping will happen. So today, let's get a little water here. What I wanted to talk to you guys about today was mentors and coaches, and the difference between mentors and coaches, because they're definitely not the same thing, but I think they're definitely going to be a necessity, a part of your arsenal, if you will, a part of your inner circle that you want to develop. For myself, my biggest mentor, like my first actual mentor, I would say, as I came into the beauty industry, was a man by the name of Robert Cromines. And so for those of you who are in the beauty industry, you probably know who he is, one of the, if not the best platform artist in the beauty industry. I think he won Platform Artist of the Year like 7 years in a row straight. I met him just by chance at a hair show in North Carolina about 10 years ago. And just in a weekend while I was, trying to be a hair model, working with him and his team, listening to him talk, listening to him share his story, just listening, to the possibilities, it completely radically altered the course of my life, where I quit my job and literally moved from North Carolina to Florida to pursue hair school at Paul Mitchell, and I've been doing it ever since, with ultimately the goal of following in his footsteps, opening salons, becoming that kind of go-to guy as a platform artist, as an inspiration to the industry, which he is still today. And that happened, in just a matter of a couple of days, just being around him. So when it comes to mentors, I know that mentors are huge, and they're a huge, value add to your life and whatever your career is developing into, or wherever you want it to go. So that's on one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is something called a coach. Now, when you look at a mentor and you look at a coach, you have two different things going on there. If you're thinking about, a coach, what the actual definition of a coach is, and you can Google this, to find out the definition, but a coach is, it's coaching. A coach does the coaching, which is the training and the development process, which an individual is going to be supported while achieving a specific, personal or professional competence or result or goal. So that's kind of where coaching comes in. Individual coaching, sometimes there's team coaching. The most common place you're going to know about a coach or know a coach being referred to is in the arena of sports. Now, when you think about sports and you think about some of the coaches, not all of the time are those coaches, and actually I would say not all of the time, most of the time, the coaches are not better than the stars. They don't have the accolades. They may not even have the talent of the stars. But what they do have, the coach, is they're able to develop the process that's going to support that star. So if you think about people that, like Phil Jackson, which in one of our previous episodes I recommended a book about Phil Jackson and his kind of tenure as a coach, winning 11 championships with multiple stars. He never won as a player that many championships, but as a coach, he was able to develop a process so he could individually and group effort support, a specific personal or professional competence result or a goal in an individual like Michael Jordan. Then he had to deal with some of the different personalities like a Dennis Rodman, and he had Scottie Pippen. So he did that in his reign with the Bulls, and then he turned around and he did it with another man you might have heard of called Kobe Bryant with the Lakers. So he had that skill set to be able to develop that. Now when you think about the term, coaching, it could be applied to, anything, informal relationships between two individuals, where one has greater experience and expertise than the other and offers advice and guidance as the other goes through a learning process. So that's what a coach is going to do. But coaching, it differs from mentoring in the ways by focusing upon competent specifics as opposed to general overall development. And when you think about the word mentor, just to give you a little bit about the word mentor actually it comes from, like most words, it comes from the Greek mythology, mentor. So mentor was the son of another, Greek god, and in mentor's old age, he was actually looked at for kind of his wisdom, and he encouraged others. And the term mentor has a lot to do with that. It's a relationship, and it was encouragement. It was some of the dealings that they went through. It was used as like lessons that you could learn from. So the wisdom that the person could give, the knowledge that they could share with their less experienced person. Doesn't necessarily mean, though, when you think about coaching, that they're going to develop the process. So when you think about, do I need a mentor, do I need a coach, what's the difference, do I need both? Yeah, you do need both. You do need both. You need to have a mentor on one hand, that may have, like for me, like Robert Cromans is my mentor. So when I look at him, he has the wisdom, he has the experience, he's done it, he's tried and failed, he's had successes opening salons, he's built a team, he's been that platform artist, so he's done it. So he has the knowledge of kind of what he went through. But then the coach, I also have a coach that I talk with on a regular basis that helps put me, into step by step to guide and get me there. My coach is not a platform artist. My coach is not a 7-time, platform artist of the year for Paul Mitchell for the beauty industry. My coach does not have many, salon locations, and that's not what my coach has. My mentor does, but my coach knows that's my goal. So now my coach is helping me develop that plan to get me there, giving me benchmarks, just like telling me, hey, take a lap, because you need to strengthen this muscle, or drop down and give me 10. So maybe my mentor is not going to do that, because you may not even have a really strong relationship with your mentor. Your mentor may not even be alive. One of my mentors is Steve Jobs, and he's not even alive anymore. But my coach is somebody that I'm going to be working closely with on a regular basis. So you're going to want to have, both of those as you're developing yourself, as you're developing your career path. And when I look at myself, I mean, some people, look at me as a mentor, and that's okay. And a lot of those people, they are distant from me, so they just see maybe, oh, he's opened several salons, and he's doing platform work for Paul Mitchell, and he's, building a team and all that. And they look at that and they're like, okay, that's cool, like that's my mentor. They're looking for that knowledge and want to know how I was able to do those things. And then I look at the team members that I work with on a daily basis. When I talk to them, I'm not looking to be their mentor. I'm their coach. They want to get to, say they want to earn $100,000 a year. I'm going to take them through the steps and help monitor them, help track them, help adjust progress, know what their goals are, and when I need to tell them, hey, drop down and give me 10 push-ups, that's what I need to do, because that's what a coach does. A coach is going to tell you to take a lap. A coach is going to be working there with you and being able to help monitor and adjust to get you on pace to hit the goals, to hit those specifics. So when you think about that coaching, the development of the process, the development, like if I go back to Phil Jackson, how was he able to do that with Michael Jordan and then also with Kobe Bryant? Because he had a process, he had an offense, he had plays, he had a method to go about helping them achieve their goals, which they wanted to win championships. They wanted to be regarded as, some of the, if not the best players to play the game. That was the results that they were after. So the coach was able to do that, Phil Jackson in that case, because he had the process. So when you think about that, you have to start thinking, okay, who are my coaches and who are my mentors? And some coaches use, a style in which they'll ask questions and other opportunities that they'll challenge, the coachee, if you will, to find the answers within themselves. A lot of my dealings with my team is doing just that, is being able to pull information or pull, talent outside from within an individual. And a coach is going to have to get in there and facilitate that to help learn and discover those answers. And that's what a coach is doing, looking for new ways to develop, being able to set clear guidelines, being able to have that process. So when you're thinking about a coach, those are some of the things that I want you guys to think about. Like, what am I looking for? What actually is a coach? What is a coach's responsibilities? Then when you think about mentors, like some of my mentors, I mentioned Steve Jobs. And Steve Jobs, what his ideas were, that is why I choose him as my mentors. His ideas, like he wanted to create this think different concept. He got an entire industry to think different. I mean, think about it. You know what kind of technology you use. If you have one of these, what did Steve Jobs do? Steve Jobs said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to actually get rid of all the buttons on this thing. We're going to take them all off, just wipe them clean off. And this is what I want you to think about. Think different. And he got an entire industry to buy into that. If you think about it nowadays, I mean, I don't even, I think every once in a while I'm at a gas station or 7-Eleven, you'll see like a phone with buttons on it. But every company's like moved away from that. He revolutionized the way that people thought about their technology. And he got everybody to get rid of buttons. I barely ever see anyone with a phone that has little, the keyboard and the little buttons on it anymore. It just doesn't exist. So for that, that's something that intrigued me and got me thinking, man, that's like he's one of my mentors because, that's a revolutionary kind of thinker and he got an industry to move in a certain direction. Some of my other mentors, Gandhi, think about Gandhi. What did Gandhi do? One of his famous sayings was, you must be the change in the world that you wish to see. So you must be the change that you wish to see. So a lot of times it's like externally. So when I think about that, I think about how he operated. He wasn't waiting for the world to change and then he was going to change. He changed, and in turn the world then changed. So that was, revolutionary in itself, just a way to think, a mentor and his knowledge, and that's where that mentorship comes through. It's coming back into that knowledge, bank of knowledge that you can find in some of these mentors. Some of my other mentors, which I already mentioned, Robert Cromeans. I mean, a really cool thing about his story. And when you decide on, okay, you're looking at, okay, this is a mentor of mine, or this person, I'm looking at as a mentor, you want to start learning as much as you can about that mentor. Do history, like look into their life, look into their story, look into their past, their accomplishments, so you can start to mine some of that knowledge. And if you have an opportunity to meet your mentor, like I have several times, I mean, that even if it's a 30-second, 2-minute, or 1-day occurrence, you can you can actually have them articulate and expand on some of those things, asking them questions. So if you have the opportunity to meet your mentor, definitely want to take advantage of that. But if you don't, learn as much about them as possible. One of the cool things I learned about, Robert Cromeans is, he came to America and he had like, $35 in his pocket, and that's kind of where he started. He started with that. And then from that, he went to beauty school and he dedicated, his life to working with the brand Paul Mitchell. And a lot of the things that happened along the way, it wasn't, what we see, the end result of a lot of hard work and a lot of struggles, ups and downs. We see the end result of that and we're like, man, I want to be him, but do you really? So you need to look into your mentor, see what they've gone through, and see the kind of trials and tribulations, if you will. And you'll learn so much through that process, and that's where that knowledge comes from. And if you have a mentor or you're thinking of somebody, start looking into it now. Start looking into them, start doing the research now so you can learn more about them. One of my other mentors, who's actually, probably a big part of everybody on this video's life, 1.7 billion people, I think, was the last count of the people that have Facebook accounts. And this guy I'm talking about, Mark Zuckerberg, who created this, at his college dorm while he was at Harvard and decided to drop out of college and pursue this, full time. What's really unique about him, for one, all right, he's 30 years old. He's worth about 30 billion. So for every candle on his birthday cake, it's like $1 billion. And we talked about the difference between a billion and a million. When you think about being a billionaire, go to our billionaire episode and check that out. But bottom line is, he doesn't have to think about really money for the rest of his life, and probably, generations of offspring don't have to think about money ever again. Okay? It's just an unlimited supply at that point. You get to a billion, you're pretty much at that point. So if you got 30 of them, you're way beyond. So yeah, that's impressive. But what's more impressive to me, and why he's one of my mentors, is his focus, even in the face of hundreds of millions at first. First it was several millions offered to buy him out in the beginning of his company. Then it became hundreds of millions offered to buy him out. Then it became billions offered to buy him out. And he's like, no, I'm not for sale. I'm not going to sell out. Because one of the things that he realized, and one of the reasons that Time Magazine named him Person of the Year a few years back, is one of my favorite quotes of his. It says, he said, "I'm here to build something for the long term. Anything else is a distraction." So when companies were coming at him, I want to say it was like, maybe at MTV at one point, Yahoo at one point, they came at him offering him hundreds of millions into the billions of dollars to buy Facebook. He turned them down. And he had no money at that point. He had no money. They weren't making any money. They were just burning cash. They were just burning. And he still turned them down. To me, that's a very admirable, trait as I look at, his story. And I'm sure if you watch the movie Social Network, you'll get one version, but there's plenty of information. Again, as a mentor of mine, I didn't just take the face value of the movie. I saw it, but then I went and I read books. I went and looked into it. I watched him actually. I like going to the source. So you can go on, if you can find your mentor, speaking on a topic, or find interviews on the internet, whether it be YouTube or a book that they personally wrote, get it from the horse's mouth. Look into it, because that's what I did. I didn't just watch Social Network and be like, oh, I know everything about Mark Zuckerberg. I know everything about Facebook. That would have been a farce. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to do research on your mentors and learn as much as you can about them. And I have this, imaginary kind of board of directors that I consult with, and it's made up of mentors, it's made up of coaches. So a lot of times when I'm having a thought on something, or I'm trying to tackle, or I'm trying to crack a code, I'm trying to work on a big project, or I have a big task at hand I'm trying to figure out, a lot of times I'll go to that board mentally. So what I'll do is I'll just, I'll consult with the board, and I'll think, Steve Jobs, information that, his book, if you haven't read Steve Jobs, the book by Walter Isaacson, you must read it. But just going into, what they would say, maybe what they would recommend, how would they look at this, what angles would they take, based on the knowledge that I've learned from them. And then I'll run it by my coaches. They're also on my board. And you don't only have to have one coach. You could have more than one coach. Think about sports teams. They have head coach, then they have, maybe an offensive coach, a defensive coach, a strength and conditioning coach. They could have several different coaches on one team, so you're not limited to how many coaches you have to have. You could have more than one coach as well. But I'll take this, whatever that I'm trying to tackle, I'll take it to my board, and I'll kind of put it in perspective. And it's almost like it's like a mental exercise. Like I'll see myself sitting at a boardroom table, and I've got my mentors, my coaches sitting at that table, and I'll say, okay, this is what I'm trying to do, whether it's I'm raising capital, or I'm looking to expand, I'm looking at a new location, I'm getting ready to do this training or do a talk for some organization. These are the challenges. How should I approach this? What angle should I take? What should I be thinking about first, second, third? So I'll put that out there, and then I'll just kind of listen. Sounds a little crazy, I know, but you have to. It's a visionizing. It's a vision exercise. So I'll start to listen, and I'll hear. This is what this person would say. This is what this person would say. Well, they probably would approach it like this, and I'll start to hear these thoughts based on knowledge that I've gathered from different sources on each of those individuals. Henry Ford, one of my mentors. What did he do in the face of adversity when he was, on the brink of losing his company, when he wanted to expand, when he was starting his company, having failed so many times trying to get a working car moving? How many times, had he been faced with that, criticism and ridicule? How, if you're facing that, what would that mean to you to take that to your board? How would they deal with it? How would Steve Jobs? Steve Jobs was literally kicked out of the company that he started. Gone, out of here. How do you deal with that? How did he deal with that? And even though he's not around anymore, there's plenty of information out there that you can look at and you can find, and you can resource that information. So when you're going through things, and it may not be exactly and identical to that, but you have a resource to then take it to your board. So that's something that I do. It's just like a visionizing. I don't even know if visionizing is a word, but vision exercise. It's it's kind of like a lot of athletes do it when they kind of close their eyes. I think was it Jack Nicklaus or Arnold Palmer. Said that they got the most of their practice when they were getting ready to go play golf. The majority of their practice they got as on the plane flying to the tournament, flying to the golf course, because they would mentally visualize, and they would play each hole, 18 holes, they'd play it in their head. They'd see the course, and they'd see the ball, and they'd see the breaks, and that's where they got the majority of their practice in. Unbelievable exercise. So I do that with my board. So on one hand, you've got coaches, and on one hand, you've got mentors. So thinking about the difference between the two, and thinking about why you need both of them. Do you want to have a mentor? Of course you do. What is a mentor going to be? It's going to be that person that has the knowledge, has the wisdom, maybe has that experience that you can resource from, and you can go to when you're going through whatever you're going to be going through. So looking at that, you may remember that your mentor has the knowledge, has the wisdom, has the experience. Also, you may or may not have physical access to your mentor. They may be living, they may be dead, they may be far, far away, they may not even know you exist, but there's still knowledge and information. A coach, on the other hand, do you want a coach? Of course you do. What is a coach? A coach is going to have more of that contact with you. The coach is going to be the person that's involved in the training and development of a process that they're going to take you through and walk you through to get to your personal goal, to get to your business goal, to achieve it. So the difference between the two, the coach may not have won all the titles or achieved all the goals that you're going for, but they may have a process that's tested, proven, and have success in that area. Do you think anybody asked to look at, going back to Phil Jackson, to look at his track record? What about our coach? Any coach that's won championships. Do you want to look at their track record? The coach who, won when he had LeBron down there, and they won a couple championships in Miami, he's not an all-star champion player like LeBron. He couldn't hold a candle, to LeBron's skill. But he had a process. And when he got LeBron to buy into that process, he was able to develop him into a champion and that team into a championship team. So know what your coach's responsibility is. Your coach's responsibility is to take you through the process. And your responsibility as a good coachee is not to buck, not to go against your coach, not to come up with excuses, not to, come up with reasons why you can't do it. That's your responsibility. You need to be a good coachee as well, okay? So coaches and mentors, the net of it all is you need to have them both as a part of your plan for success. You need to have mentors, you need to have coaches, and you can have multiples of each. I named several of my mentors, and I named, my coaches that I work with. I have a couple coaches that I talk to on a regular basis every few weeks. They may not even be in the city. I'll talk to them on the phone for 30 minutes. And they have systems in place. They have criteria that I go through. I'm a coach for my team. They definitely have systems that they need to follow, the development process to get them to their goals. So that's an example of being a coach. I could be a coach and I could be a mentor. That's one thing I didn't touch on. You could have one person that's both. If I worked with my mentor, Robert Cromings, on a regular basis, and he was helping me develop my business and my team and unfold my vision of what I want to do with my company, then he would fall into that arena of a coach and a mentor. So one individual could actually serve two different purposes. But you need to have both of them. You can have multiples, and it's going to be a key part of your success. There's not one champion out there. You can't name a champion that doesn't have a coach. You look at Tiger Woods, you look at Michael Jordan, you look at Eli Manning, you look at Peyton Manning, you look at any of them. Floyd Mayweather in the boxing arena. These are people that are performing at higher levels. Usain Bolt, the fastest man on the planet. Usain Bolt, they're performing at the highest levels in the world. They all have a coach. What happened when Tiger Woods hit? Boom, he'd hit the ball, and immediately what did he do? He looked over at his coach, who happened to be his father for a while. Derek Jeter. Coach. Every player has a coach. Do they have mentors? They do. So you're going to need both of them if you're planning on going to that level. Now, if you're planning on just kind of creeping through and not really making any noise, I don't think that you would be on this video. I don't think you'd be watching Rolling with the D. I don't think that you would be tuned in. Because if you're watching this, then I know that you want to achieve greatness in whatever your field is. If it's in the beauty industry, if it's in the whatever industry, technology, doesn't matter. If you're a model, if you don't even know what industry you're in, if you're jobless and you just stumble upon this video, then I know that you want something more out of your life. I know that you're destined for greatness. Greatness lives within us all. Coaches and mentors can help bring that out. So I want you to make a list. I want you to share that. If you want to share it with me, it could be private. If you want to send it to me on Facebook, you can find me at Sunny DEE on Facebook. You can find me on any of the social mediums. Share it in a comment if you're okay for it being a part of the public chatter. That's fine too. But I want to know, who are your mentors and who are your coaches? Give me at least 2 or 3 mentors that you have, and give me at least 2 or 3 coaches that you have, because I want to know. And if I could be your mentor or your coach, I'd be honored to do that as well. So that's my message for today. I hope you guys are having a great week. It's Wednesday, so we're getting ready to roll in. We got Thursday and Friday. It's November. I can't believe we're rolling right into where? Rolling right into 2015. You know what 2015 means, right? Fresh start for some, or just another year of domination for others. So what's it going to be for you? Is it going to be a fresh start, or is it going to be another year of domination? Hopefully, it's going to be another year of domination. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. Appreciate you checking out the program. Make sure you're sharing this with family. Make sure you're sharing this with your friends, letting people know. Anybody you think might need a little checkup from the neck up, then I want you to be able to share this video with them. And I want to leave you with a resource today. I pulled right out of my library, one of my all-time, favorite resources. When you think about all the motivational speakers and trainers that there exist in the world, there's one guy that rises above them all. There's one guy that every speaker or trainer that I've ever heard speak references this guy as having learned so much, having been a mentor to them, having been a coach. Just a dynamic individual, passed away not too long ago. I had the pleasure of seeing him do one of his last talks, and he actually was here in Tampa, Florida, in front of about 20,000 people. The man that I'm talking about, his name is Zig Ziglar. And one of the books that he wrote, his all-time #1 selling book, I wanted to recommend for you guys. The name of the book is called See You at the Top. So See You at the Top, and this is a copy of it right here, and you've got to get this. It's got to be part of your arsenal. And when you think about this book, I mean, Zig Ziglar, he was working with every company, Fortune 500 companies all over the entire world, spoke in front of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands, millions of people throughout his lifetime, and touched so many people. But See You at the Top is really, it's an opportunity for you. And as I always say, that checkup from the neck up, working on your mindset, these are the kind of things that you're going to be able to get out of a book like this. You can find this guy, on YouTube. He's got tons of videos out there, and it really is going to help you eliminate stinking thinking, which we're human. So we're all kind of subject to that. Any given day it could happen. A little bit of the negative thoughts kind of creep into your head. Doubt. I have doubt, self-doubt. As an entrepreneur, it's one of the hardest things you could possibly want to be, where you're trying to create constantly. So there's many days when I have, self-doubt creep in, and, negative thoughts or negative people in the surroundings, doubt comes in. People try to plant seeds in your garden, negative seeds. And if you don't constantly weed your garden, you know what happens. The weeds take over the garden. Material like this, feeding your mind, working on your mindset, using this kind of material, this is the kind of stuff that keeps me with a great mindset, strengthens my mind, strengthens my ability. So I definitely want to recommend this book to you. You'll love it. This book's been in print for over 25 years. It talks about lots of different, some of the chapters in here. Self-image, huge. Your relationship with others, great chapter. Attitude, one of my favorites. Desire, talks about desire, and then goals, of course. Without goals, it's like it's a map. We don't have a map for our life. We don't have a map. So definitely check that out. See You at the Top. You can find it online. I'll leave it in the notes for today's show. And I appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure if you're sharing information or you have a question, use our official hashtag RWTD for Rolling with the D. That's our hashtag. And then leave some comments. What did you think about today's show? I need feedback. I need to know, am I moving in the right direction with this? Are you guys getting, good information out of this? Are you enjoying the show? That means a lot to me, to hear from you guys and know what you're thinking about the show. What do you want to hear about more? What topics would you like me to cover more? Things that are interesting to you. So let me know. And remember, if you're leaving any posts, use the hashtag RWTD for Rolling with the D. It's been a pleasure to spend some time with you today, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow Remember to tune in. We're coming at you 5 days a week. Share this with your friends and family and go out there and be great. I'll talk to you guys real soon. Thanks for tuning in.